All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. We've got one more AJ Barner video to make here, and these will be the notes I took from the games that I really closely looked at when it came to him. I actually, went through almost every play. I couldn't go through every play because the videos I found of these games were I want to say 90% of the plays. Some of the stuff got cut out. Now, some of the stuff they cut out was junk, but there still might have been stuff on those plays that was interesting to me personally that didn't affect the game in any obvious way. So, probably did miss one or two things that I would have otherwise liked to note, but I got a pretty good picture from a couple of games that AJ Barner played last year for Michigan. Once again, just to reiterate for anybody who maybe missed the previous videos, I don't show tape on screen because last time I tried to do it, YouTube just shut it down. They didn't even let the. I think I tried to do a film study video for receivers a couple years ago, and YouTube wouldn't even let me show it. They would just black the screen out, and I don't want to put a bunch of work into something that nobody's going to be able to look at potentially. So we're just going to do it this way. So I'm just going to share my notes here. First game we're going to look at is from Michigan State, the Michigan State game. Michigan won this game 49-0, by the way. They won a lot of games like that last year, though. So if you're going to analyze Michigan stuff, you're going to have to look at a lot of blowouts. This was the one game AJ Barner played where he was a big, how should I put this? He was a big part of the passing attack. He was a prolific part of the receiving core. Every other game, he's got like one catch, two catch, maybe three. This game, he goes off on only 21 routes that he ran, 37 snaps. He has 8 catches on 9 targets for 99 yards and his only career Michigan touchdown. So this was the one game that he actually showed prolific receiving ability. So I figured it was worth looking at. So, first snap of the game, he's lined up in the slot, and then he comes back down at the snap to throw a seal block on the edge to free up the run. And there's a lot of that in his tape where he starts like in the outside, he comes in motion before the snap, and then he like seals down on the edge to open up the hole for the running back. And that's something that Michigan used him as a lot. So that was the first play. A couple plays later, he lays in a nice block on a linebacker on an A-gap run, just climbs up to him and hits him. But the play was killed behind him. There was a tackle in the backfield, so play didn't go anywhere, but you can see some of the movement skills, the ability to block downfield, the ability to block in space, and play in space. On third and long, one of the first plays that really caught me with AJ Barner, he runs a 10-yard curl on, I think it was 3rd and 14. JJ McCarthy gets flushed out of the pocket by pressure, scrambles out to his right, and AJ Barner basically goes into scramble drill mode and runs in front of him. It's clearly not planned. It's clearly not scripted that way. It's an unscripted play where he realizes his quarterback is in trouble. I need to run in front of him to give him a target. And he runs into McCarthy's field of vision, and McCarthy hits him for a first down. It's, I think, his first catch of the game. It's one of the first big plays of the game for the Michigan offense. And it's an example of how he understands that when the quarterback starts scrambling around and the play looks like it's busted, he needs to try to run back into the quarterback's area of vision. So, really nice play to get the first down on 3rd and long here. Early on, he's basically used exclusively as an inline tight end, which was expected because that's how Michigan used him. The stats say as much. Very rare do you actually see him lined up as a wideout. It happens a handful of times a game. There was a reach block he hit going from left to right to take the edge out of the play, and then the running back runs behind him. The hole he opens up by hitting the edge. There was a goal line sequence of 3 runs where he was a part of the blocking. He basically was an extension of the offensive line. It was all pretty adequate, all pretty good. It's kind of hard to describe blocks at times. I'll say that much, right? Like, it's hard to describe blocking. So I'm doing the best that I can here. But everything looks good for the most part. Everything looks natural and normal. And he's part of the unit that is getting it done on that Michigan team, maybe more than any other. Next drive, after they get that goal line touchdown, McCarthy makes a really risky tight window throw, like on a 10-yard curl to Barner. And I don't know how it didn't get picked off. McCarthy did do a good job of going to Barner's outside shoulder to keep it away from the defender. And Barner actually made a really nice catch, kind of diving back opposite his momentum to get it. He was going towards the inside because he was curling inside, and then the throw goes to his outside shoulder, which obviously takes him against the grain, against his momentum, and he is able to actually catch it and bring it in for a first down. It's a nice, impressive play by both sides, actually. Another play where he goes across the line of scrimmage from left to right as a lead blocker on a run, and he hits his block, but the play gets tackled for a loss behind him, so nothing he could really do about that. He, near as I can tell, did his job, and sometimes the play just gets tackled behind you, and that's all there is to say about it. He makes another catch on a 2nd and long check down. He immediately gets tackled for maybe a gain of 1 yard. I don't think it was any gain at all, but he was basically just a thing where he's hanging out behind the defensive line as they're getting their pass rush down the field, and McCarthy just hits him for what he hopes is going to be a short gain, but there was no gain. Right to left, block across the line of scrimmage on the edge as a lead blocker for a running play. A lot of that on his tape, so you can see him comfortable moving, comfortable playing in space, comfortable being in motion before the snap to go hit his block. Couple of plays where Michigan shows a lot of comfort running the ball behind him. There were 2 plays in a row near midfield where they run the ball behind Barner as a blocker, pick up 5 yards. Next play, they do the exact same thing to the other side, pick up another 5 yards. One play in this game where he did line up as a receiver, he actually lined up outside. He lined up as an outside receiver, basically a wide receiver straight up. Cornerback played very soft, so he basically just ran a 6-yard comebacker, caught the ball, easy catch, not really contested, not much to say there. But one thing that I did note is that after the catch, he fought for extra yards and actually got up to the first down marker, and I think he got the first down. He squeezed out 4 extra yards with his effort, and that's something that you see a decent amount of with him. Extra effort, getting extra yards, even if it's just a couple of yards, it can make a difference. On this play, it turned what would have been 2nd and 4 into 1st and 10. Over and over again, as you go through the tape, he's not only is he blocking, Michigan is running behind him. Michigan is using him as a lead blocker. Michigan is making him the linchpin of the blocking scheme, making him the focal point of whether or not the running play succeeds or fails by his blocking. So they had a lot of faith in him, and that was a very good Michigan offensive line. That was a Michigan offensive line full of guys who were at least going to make the NFL, and Barner was a guy they had no problem putting a lot on as a blocker. There was one play where he had a 5-yard catch over the middle, just a little curl right over the middle. One thing I noted is that he got contacted at the line of scrimmage. It was kind of like a jam, but not really, because it wasn't like a concerted effort. It was just kind of a quick little, almost incidental chuck, and he beats the contact and gets open for the little 5-yard catch. More stuff where he just falls forward to squeeze out an extra yard or 2 on his catches. More blocks where he crosses the line of scrimmage to hit the edge. That happens over and over in this tape. There was one play where he tried to come down and do like a crash down block on a defensive tackle on a B-gap run, but he wasn't going anywhere. I would not use A.J. Barner to block 300-pounders. He looked a little out of sorts on that play. He looked a little probably miscast for that particular block. His touchdown catch came on a pretty simple crossing route. J.J. McCarthy runs a bootleg, and Barner's just kind of running wide open over the middle of the field in between the zones, and he gets the ball. And that was basically it. After that, the game was completely out of hand. It was 42-0. Michigan put in a lot of backups for a final touchdown drive. Wasn't much to say. Just, that's what happens when you're winning 42-0 with plenty of time left. So, that's the first game I looked at. Very impressive, very good. Again, the main thing to focus on with him is his blocking. I didn't even see every catch he made because some of it didn't make it to the final cut of the video, apparently. It was a longer video, but they still chopped out a decent chunk of plays, and I think some of them were catches. But you can see the positive attributes here for sure. So, next game I looked at was Minnesota. This was a game he was very highly graded on as a blocker and actually as a receiver, even though he only only caught 2 passes for 24 yards and only ran 11 routes. So, I wanted to look at this as well. The blocking is what we care about more anyway. So, 40 snaps, 11 of them were routes, 2 catches, 2 targets, 24 yards. Again, Michigan lets him pave the way, lets him lead the way on blocks. They run behind him on the line. They let him hit seal blocks and crash blocks down the line of scrimmage to free up runs, and he handles it all pretty well. There was a 3rd-and-1 run where I thought he got good leg drive on the guy who was blocking, actually knocking him back. The play got stopped behind him, but he did his job. There was one of his catches. He hits a quick chip block on a play action, and he leaks out to the backside. It was actually kind of a nice play design. It looked like something maybe Shanahan would come up with, where McCarthy acts like he's going to bootleg out to his right, and then he just looks back to his left, and AJ Barner's hanging out over there in the flat, and hopefully there's no defender over there. Now there actually was, but Barner made the catch and was actually able to spin out of contact and push forward for about 8 yards on a play where he probably should have had like 3. So you take a look at a play like that and you're like, okay, he's not a downfield threat, but his yak skills are notable. He's not going to yak you for like 50 yards, but he's going to yak you for like 3-4 yards every single play, and it adds up. So that play was a good illustration of what he can do as a receiver. There were some pure pass blocking reps in this game where basically he was a 6th offensive lineman on a passing play where he literally just drops back like a offensive lineman and just waits for a blocker and then picks him up, or a rusher and picks him up. And whenever he was asked to do these things, he looked fine. I thought he handled Minnesota's edges fairly well. Sometimes he would help. Sometimes he would actually take on a guy on his own. And it all looked pretty good. There was a off-tackle run where I thought he helped clear out a big hole by pushing back the defender, generating some real leg drive and some movement in the trenches. Nice stuff there. He was a lead blocker for a run where he got some pretty serious knockback on a linebacker to clear the hole and open up a big lane for Corum. There was a goal line touchdown run where Corum actually ran right behind him, basically right up his tail, and followed him into the end zone and was able to crash through for the touchdown. There was another nice pass blocking rep he had on a deep pass. I think it was to Cornelius Johnson inside the 10-yard line, where he just helped pick up a pass rusher and played patty cake with him and didn't let him get past him. So you're seeing those quality pass blocking reps. There was one play where he was trying to climb up from the line of scrimmage to a linebacker to hit a block, and he ended up on the ground. He ended up just kind of slipping down, which it looked a little bit awkward. It looked a little bit clunky, and it had a somewhat negative impact on the play, I think, which is why I say he's got the athleticism to handle zone blocking stuff, but he's not a stellar athlete, and on some plays he'll just end up on the ground because he can't quite keep up with what his body's trying to do. Another pure pass block set picks up the edge to help out the right tackle when the right tackle is a little overwhelmed. I did notice he ran a go route from about the 20-yard line into the end zone, which he didn't get targeted, but I noticed it because I was like, oh, he's finally going down the field. We didn't see much of that. He seals off a hole on a running play on 3rd down to free up a 1st down run. A lot of that stuff, again, they just keep utilizing him as a key blocker, not just a blocker. Another catch he makes, the 2nd catch of the game, comes on a play where he leaks out after hitting a chip block, and he showed more yak stuff. He made the first tackler miss, and then he spun forward on the 2nd tackler to pick up extra yards. He ended up turning it into like a 14 or 15-yard gain, where it looked like initially it was just going to be maybe 10 at most. So over and over again, he does that stuff, and that's definitely going to earn you some credit if you continue to generate that kind of bonus yardage on your catches. All right. So that's all I had for the tape. I mean, it's good tape. He's a good player. I think that he will have a somewhat limited use case in the NFL, but there is clearly a place for a guy like this in the NFL. So AJ Barner, that's a tape. Maybe another video later today. If not, I'll be talking about another rookie tomorrow. See you guys soon. Go Hawks.